I wrote down some of my personal narrative because I wanted to show you what your writing is going to start looking like. Octavian, I want to wait until you are ready. Are you all ready to listen? Got your listening ears on and your eyes up here? Okay. Now, if you'll notice, you guys, I put different sections in different colors. That's because I wanted you to see where my beginning is and then where my middle is. We haven't talked about endings yet, so I don't have that yet. Now, if you'll notice, have you guys ever heard this word?
Brat.
Oh, not that word, sorry.
You pointed to brat.
Well, I pointed.
Indent?
Indent. Have you heard that word before?
No.
You're going to hear it a lot in 3rd grade.
I've heard indent.
Okay. Indent is where I am starting a new paragraph. And so, see how my first word kind of came over here? That's telling you, the reader, oh, this is where she's starting her beginning paragraph. And everything in this paragraph is going to be about my beginning. Okay? So here's my beginning. Brat, brat. My dirt bike's engine echoed through the forest of tall evergreen trees. And then when I needed to add something, I did it in different colors so you could see. On a warm summer day. I came to a quick stop at the bottom of a gigantic hill. I looked over at Blake as his dirt bike skidded to a stop next to me. Blake stared at me with his eyes and his full age. That is the biggest hill I've ever seen. Ready to start my beginning. Remember, my beginning is like the meat of my sandwich. What's happening in my story now? What is my story actually about? My middle. Did I say beginning?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my middle. My middle is like the meat of my story, and I'm telling my story. I started on the beginning of my finger and said, who's in the story? I said where it's taking place and when it's taking place. And I kind of gave you a little teaser into what my story was going to be about. So I said, that's the biggest hill I've ever seen. Now I want you right here, because right now you're not paying attention. Okay, so now I indented because now I'm done with my beginning and I'm ready to start talking about the meat of my story. You can do it, Brady shouted. I'll go first if you want, I said, as I looked up the hill. Blake nodded his head. I carefully put on my helmet. Slowly, I climb up on the bike, swinging my right leg over the seat first. You getting a picture in my head? I put on my helmet. I swung my leg first. I buckled my chin strap tightly. Once my helmet is fastened tight, I take a deep breath. I put my sunglasses on, and I push the start button. Okay, here I go, I say. Blake gives me a thumbs up. Okay, so this is still my middle. I'm still telling my story. Right now, this whole part is kind of just about me getting ready to get on my bike. I put my helmet on, put my sunglasses on, buckled my strap, put my leg around the bike. Okay, so now new paragraph. My story hadn't started like this in the beginning. And then it's like, oh, she's getting a little more exciting. Like she's got to hear herself. It's getting more exciting. Now I'm at the peak, the exciting part. I'm going to go up that hill. Okay? I grip the throttle with my red baby glove. My hands are already sweating. Don't panic. Auto revving up the engine. I'm doing it, I think to myself. I keep my eyes on the road ahead of me. Finally, I see the top of the hill. I'm going to make it, I shout out. I see Brady and Jason at the top and zoom past them. I did it! I
You
yell.
didn't tell about the rock you saw.
I know, I kind of left out some details, mainly because I wanted to show you about adding details.
And also, you left out the part when he clenched his teeth like a boat in the shoulder.
I left some of those things out because I wanted to show you how you can start to add details to your story. Because lots of you are getting to this middle part. And remember, we talked about how writers show and not tell. There's a lot of places in here where I can do more showing instead of just telling. Does anyone have one place? Let's see.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Did you have a place in your mind where you didn't quite have a good picture and you needed a little bit more showing, a little bit more detail?
Yeah.
Where?
I was wondering, kind of like,
Octavian. Go ahead.
I was wondering, was the hill rocky or just sandy?
And where could I add that at?
Somewhere kind of like,
Where I was talking about going up the hill?
yeah.
I'm doing it, I think, to myself. Oh, how about this? I keep my eyes on the road ahead of me. Would that be a good place to see what I'm seeing on the road
Yeah.
ahead of me?
A
Okay.
big, huge boulder that I tried to get away.
Okay. So I saw a large boulder to the right. No, I gotta think.
To the left.
It was to the left. And to the right was a very steep cliff with a lot of trees. Okay, so if I went off to the left, I was going to run into the boulder. If I went off to the right, I was going to go off in the trees, right? Just one moment.
And no one likes you. It's like, Taylor Swift. No joke. Yeah, it's like
Okay, so you guys, what I'm noticing is, and this is, I've showed some of you this in your writing already, but I haven't shown all of you. Mackenzie was saying, where was it? Right about...
Myself. Me.
Oh, I keep my eyes on the road ahead of me. I need to add a lot of detail there about the boulder and about the cliff beside me. Can I fit it all in that little space?
Yeah.
I can? All that information? I
And a
can.
sticky note. Sticky note.
So something that I showed you, some of you, when you have, if I just had a couple of words to add, like here, I could just do a little caret and add it in there. But I've got several sentences that I want to add. One thing you can do is to get a sticky note and add what I did here. I'm going to put a number 1 right here because it's going to be my first detail I'm adding. I'm going to put a 1 here and circle it. And I'm going to get a sticky note. And I'm going to put a 1 here and I'm going to circle it. And then I'm going to add my details. So Mackenzie said I should add that to my right. See, I have to keep thinking of that movie in my mind so I remember, oh, to my right was the trees, the cliff with trees. So to my right, I saw a cliff with a forest of trees.
Below it.
Below it? Okay, below it. To my left, I saw a giant, it was like gray, it was grayish in color, kind of like you know how rocks can be that light gray. It was pretty gray, so a giant gray
Rock that looked like
boulder. Okay, so now I can put this right here, or wherever you have room for it. If you don't have room there, stick it somewhere else. But you're going to know when you're reading this, oh, I see a number 1. I need to find the sticky note that says number 1 because I added a detail there.
And then you can
So now let me read it with my detail. I grip the throttle with my red faded gloves. My hands are already sweating. Don't panic, I think to myself. I pin the throttle, revving up the engine. I'm doing it, I think to myself. I keep my eyes on the road ahead of me. Oh, here's my detail. To my right, I saw a cliff with a forest of trees below it. To my left, I saw a giant gray boulder. Now I can keep going. Finally, I see the top of the hill. I'm gonna make it, I shout out loud. I see Brady and Jason at the top and zoom past them. So as you're writing your middle today, keep writing your middle. But if you see somewhere where you can add a showing and not just a telling, because I didn't show, I said I was looking at the road, but I didn't tell you what I was seeing. I needed to show you what I was seeing so you could get a better memory or a better movie in your mind. If it's a short one, just do a little caret, add it in there. If it's a little longer detail, write a number 1, circle it, and add your detail. Now, if you have more than one detail, then you have to do a number 2 on your next detail. If you put number 1 on all of them, you're going to be confused on where they go. Like what? One? I have a 1 here, I have a 1 here.
That doesn't make sense. Let me try that.
Okay. So, many of you are in different places. Some of you are still working on your beginning.